Alright, so this is absolutely hilarious. I feel like I do a story on this almost like every 3 to 5 months, just because it seems to continue to come back and come back and come back into the sort of, I don't know if you want to call it the news cycle or the news sphere, whatever you want to call it, but it seems to be the case that this always just continuously comes up. And it is about Mr. Milo Yiannopoulos. Now, Milo went broke. Basically, after some really crazy comments resurfaced from his appearance on the TJ Kirk's podcast, Breitbart cut ties with them, the Mercers cut ties with him, and then there was supposed to be this crypto billionaire who was going to fund him. Then he passed away right before he was able to do that. And I guess this moron has like an entire company that must be run on credit, because my understanding is he has like Milo Entertainment or something, and he's got a bunch of employees running, and so you got to pay them somehow. So I think this doof was doing it on credit, and so he racked up like $2 million of debt, and he's really, really broke apparently. So there's another article on this that came out. It's from Vice. It says, Milo Yiannopoulos says he's broke. Quote, I can't put food on the table this way. So we're going to get into this piece. Before we get into that, actually, I have to show you something here. So apparently he put out a book. Now, I didn't know this, but I guess it was on April 9th. So it was a while ago, but it's literally called How to Be Poor. It says, recently I became poor. It's disgusting, and it means God loves me less than he loves you. I know my tragic penury won't last forever, but in case you too have been fired for something you said, deplatformed for something you believe, or just abruptly cut off from your trust fund, this book will explain how to navigate life when you are unexpectedly yanked from privilege and told to earn a living. So this is the description. Now, I think this is just the same description for all the different places where the book is accessible. This one is from Google Books. But I find this to be absolutely hilarious. So he put out a book titled How to Be Poor. He also, if you recall, had put out this really lengthy piece on his website where he basically went into depth about different right-wing figures like Lauren Southern and Laura Loomer and all these other people. So, he's really, really clinging on to dear life. I also did a story about him saying that basically he was raffling off, or he was basically auctioning off an evening with him. So he's pretty damn desperate, okay? So if we get into this piece, okay, it says the disgraced right-wing trolls complaining that the major social media companies have effectively cut off his audience and crushed his ability to make a decent living. The former Breitbart tech writer shared the complaints on Telegram, a messaging app where some right allies have set up shop after getting the boot by larger tech platforms. Yiannopoulos was banned from Twitter in 2016 for directing abuse at Leslie Jones, losing nearly 400,000 followers. He was banned from Facebook in May. So, Milo was banned on Twitter for that. He did deserve to get banned for that, not only because he was doing was just clear, abuse, but he was actually committing libel as well. So he would retweet fake quotes of Leslie Jones that she had never said to make her look bad. So not only was he being, just a super big D-bag, but he was also actually committing libel, and that's obviously against the law. You can't do that. So, it makes sense that Twitter would ban him for doing that. But if you don't know about Telegram, I actually really didn't know about the app Telegram. But apparently it's basically the place where all of the right-wing grifters go. Your Laura Loomer is over there. Milo Yiannopoulos is over there. And there's a bunch of others as well. The really crazy figures who really, really are just so far out that they're so, sort of away from the mainstream that they have nowhere left. They end up going to Telegram. And so this is really hilarious, okay? So it says, quote, I spent years growing and developing and investing in my fan base, and they just took it away in a flash, wrote Yiannopoulos. It's nice to have a little private chat with my gold star homies, but I can't make a career out of a handful of people like that. I can't put food on the table this way. which is hilarious. So he actually had started up a Patreon page, and it didn't get that many people, if I recall correctly, and it got banned within like 1 day. So pretty much, deplatforming in this situation had worked, it seemed. Now, the one thing I have to say is, like, to me, Milo Yiannopoulos is just a grifter and a troll. He's definitely just a troll. I believe that's self-advertised. But in addition to that, I really do believe that he's just a grifter. Like, if you ask yourself, like, what are the defining principles or the sort of what is the underlying ideology of Milo Yiannopoulos? Like, are you really going to come up with anything? Because there is nothing. He just kind of hops on whatever train is really popular, and he sort of became this villain in the eyes of so many people, to where he was able to just kind of garner all this attention, etc., etc. He doesn't have any sort of actual ideology. He doesn't have any actual beliefs. He just follows whatever's popular to make money and gain, just status, etc. When you're talking about building a brand, it's not just about getting hard cash. That usually correlates with building a brand and a name, etc., etc. And so that's kind of what he did. Here's some Telegram screenshot messages here. This one says, "It's just not a good use of my time to be here, talking to the same 1,000 people, none of whom buy books, tickets, to anything or donate." That's hilarious. So apparently he only gets like 2,000 views. And he says here, this is really funny, where he says that I find really absolutely hilarious. It says, quote, "I can't find anyone who's managing to grow a really big channel here," wrote Yiannopoulos, "whose Telegram posts typically reach around 2,000 pairs of eyeballs. Everyone is hitting a wall. There's no future to Telegram for social media refugees if this is the best it gets." Then some more screenshots of messages. Says, "I spent years growing and developing and investing in my fan base, and they just took it away in a flash. This 19K BS here is not going to cut it. It's nice to have a little private chat with my Gold Star homies, but I can't make a career out of a handful of people like that. I can't put food on the table this way." So I did already read that to you guys. Here's more of them. It says, "Gab, relentlessly exhaustingly hostile, and jam-packed full of teen racks who totally dictate the tone and discussion. I can't post without being called a blankety blank blank. Parlor, I've never even heard of Parlor before. Zero interaction, no one is there. That makes sense, 'cause I've never heard of it before. Telegram, a wasteland. None of them drive traffic. None of them have audiences who buy or commit to anything. Unless something monumental changes, we are just going to be driven off the internet forever," which is really hilarious here. So Gab, if you don't know, is like the attempt at a Twitter platform that's supposed to be like free speech, and it just ends up being a massive wasteland full of a bunch of racks. Really, really, really bad platform. And I guess even he can't handle all that stuff. And that also kind of goes to tell me why he's sort of a grifter. It just seems to be that way. And so there seems to be no legit sufficient alternative to... Like, Milo Yiannopoulos really got the boot from everywhere, guys. We're talking about Patreon. We're talking about Breitbart. We're talking about Twitter. We're talking about Facebook. I think he's still on Instagram somehow. I don't know if he has a YouTube channel or if he's banned from YouTube. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't see why he wouldn't start up a YouTube channel. But there's just so much of this going on, folks. And here's what's really hilarious. It says, "Yiannopoulos laid blame not only on Big Tech's countermeasures, but also the pro-Trump internet's inability to successfully strike back. I'm clinging on for dear life, and I'll never give up," said Yiannopoulos, who did not immediately respond to Vice News' direct message-seeking comment. "But holy hell, the base in America sucks. Frankly, they deserve to lose their country, and if by some miracle we manage to save it, it'll be no thanks whatsoever to voters, readers, subscribers, and entirely thanks to the few brave souls battling on the front lines beyond all reason and hope. It's years too late. The time to act was when I got booted off Twitter. Nobody did." See, when I read this, this guy definitely has some sort of delusions. Like, this is not like, it's not that serious, bro. Like, it's just simply not that serious. Even if you think that you getting banned off all these platforms is like a bad thing or serious, the level to which you're trying to put this makes it sound like you're like Batman or something, or you're like, I don't know, just some sort of really massive figure that is something serious. Like, bro, you, a provocateur troll who's a grifter, getting banned from Patreon and Twitter and Facebook and wherever else, your job at Breitbart, losing that. Dude, doing that is not something like the people battling on the front lines are the real ones in this. Like, what is this, dude? What is this, a movie? What is this, like, reminds me of, like, Gohan trying to beat Cell at the end with this Kamehameha Wave battle. Like, bro, what do you think this is, bro? What do you think, like, these delusions, a lot of people who are any sort of political public figure seem to have some sort of delusions of grandeur a lot. We've seen it with Stefan Molyneux. We see it with this guy. Like, come on, bro. Let me read this to you again. It literally says, I'm clinging on for dear life and I'll never give up. And it says, and entirely thanks to the few brave souls battling on the front lines beyond all reason and hope. It's years too late. The time to act was when I got booted off Twitter. Nobody did. Like, come on, bro. Who do you think you are, dude? No one cares. Nobody cares whatsoever. Everyone just laughs at you every time this story recycles in the sort of news social media sphere. I just laugh, and that's what everyone does. This man's in like $2 million of debt, so yeah, his grift really did not pan out for him at all. And I think that's great. I'm really enjoying the fact that it didn't pan out for him. And this guy's just a loser, man. Let's keep it real. Milo Yiannopoulos is a loser at heart.